Today I'm going to be teaching all of you how to consistently win every game you play. Now the techniques that I'm going to cover in this video are all designed to win games in the most efficient way possible. So if you guys do enjoy, make sure you guys are subscribed. I want it 20k by the end of the year. But with that, let's get into the video. Now the first way you're going to win games is with your drop spot. Now your drop spot is very dependent on how good of a player you are. Let's say you're a bad player, okay, land somewhere more low key, get your loot up, and then rotate in. But let's say you're a better player, you should be striving to land at better POIs. For example, if you're a good player, strive to go to a POI that has a mythic. One of the best mythics and most underrated POIs this season is actually the rig. Also, another thing, make sure that you're killing the boss once you've cleared the entire POI. Notice how on my minimap, there's no one else around because I killed everyone else. That means that now I have the freedom to kill the boss. I don't have to waste any mats building around me, and I can just pick up the boss freely. Now, the reason this POI is so underrated is because of the mythic boss. Now, as I said in the beginning of the season, the boom bow is okay against players, and I've actually changed my mind. It's a great weapon, but most importantly, it does its job against cars. If you don't know, it's an explosive. So it does triple the damage to cars than it would to players. So for a player, as you can see, I did 115 damage, but for a car, I do an insane amount of damage, over 300 every single time I hit the car. That can 3-shot a car, and then I don't have to deal with the person flying in the air, and I can fight them normally. Now, moving on from off spawn, let's talk about mid-game fights. Mid-game fights are completely different than any other fight because they are so situational and they change every time you fight. In this example, I'm going to get super weak on HP, but I'm going to be super smart in the way I take peeks. I try and do a boom bow shot, I miss, and I get lasered. And now at this point, I'm basically sitting at no HP, and this guy is obviously going to grapple at me. Now at this point, if I don't do any counter damage, this guy's just going to keep keying me. So I decide to take the 50-50. I'm able to do some damage, and I place a wall in front of me to block the rest of the shots coming at me. As you can see, the pellets are blocked, but I make sure to block my sides because imagine if someone's coming over here shooting at me, they can just spray me and then steal the kill. Once this guy's spraying on my wall, he's very vulnerable because he's moving slow and he doesn't have a shotgun out. So then I can do even more counter damage. I've now hit him for even more, and now he's a little more weak on HP, and now he is forced to now back up and start popping his minis. Now this guy gets distracted. It's starting to work in my favor. He gets sniped at, and now he's pretty dumb. He smacks on my roof here. Now, very importantly here, I still don't have a lot of HP to work with, so I have to be smart when this guy lands on my roof and starts to smack on it. So when he starts to smack on it, he starts to get shot at by other players. So I realize he's obviously probably going to start to build up and slow down the fight. This means that more people like this guy or the other guy are going to start to push in. So I have to end this fight quickly, or I'll never be able to get out of it in the first place. Now I realize that the player has now boxed on my roof and my cone. So what I'm going to do is simply just double it in, and then I obviously reset the cone. I catch him off guard. I also got a cone above me. Lucky me, catch him in that. And then I can crack him, but notice as soon as I hit him, I flip that cone back up and I fall back down. If I don't do this, he turns around, shoots me, could be game over. He could 200 on me. But since I do this, now I avoid that situation, and now I have a great angle to play from. I can hold that roof, and then I can now spray him down, and I have obviously now picked up that kill without taking any damage after that first big hit. So a great way to win mid-game fights is by dragging players into positions they're not comfortable with. I see a lot of people get into uncomfortable positions and then they allow the opponent to get out. You want to try to bait the opponent into a position where he thinks he has an advantage, and then you take the advantage away. Like right here, notice how I've just baited this opponent into this box and all of these walls are mine. That means that if he falls in this box and tries to get out and I wait for him to place a ramp, that means that I can just flip the ramp below me, edit out, and then I've now just coned him, and now this entire box is mine. I have built all these walls previously and baited him in, and now this is my entire box, and I have a drum gun. So you know what happens next. Spray through, and I can just keep bleeding through, and eventually this guy can't hang with the drum gun. No one can. Sorry. And then I pick up a free elimination just from baiting my opponent in. Another great tip in endgames is to mirror other players or mirror high ground. What I mean by that is going under their build so they don't have an angle on you. Now right here, sure, I could tarp out in this direction, but that would put me at a disadvantage because then this player on height can look at me and keep spraying me. So instead, I decide to tarp under him. This means that now, as you can see, it's really hard for him to look at me because he has to worry about the other player now who's holding boogie bombs. Now, not only does it make that first rotate easy, it makes my next rotation even easier because now that he can't see me and he's forced to look at the other player, I can edit out safely knowing that there's no one in front of me or below me, and I can just grapple the zone, getting myself early in again and now putting myself in a great position for the rest of the game. Now, if you're just saying winning games is luck, I'm going to show you what I mean by not having good zone priority and how it can actually affect your game. As you can see here, I'm getting myself in zone. Not bad, right? But then I see this player right here. I edit on him, and I'm eventually actually going to crack him right here. But the problem is that I lose sight of what was around me at the beginning. I don't realize that this player edits on me and is looking at my floor. This means that then he could spray me out and kill me. But if I was more focused on getting to zone early, I wouldn't have to deal with this dumb fight that I lose. And it's not just about luck, it's about getting to zone early, because now see that I'm on the edge of zone, other people will look at me like these two players were both editing on me and I would have died either way. So make sure that you get to zone, maybe like this guy early, and then you won't have to deal with that. Now, if you really want to win games, you need to learn to not get invested and focus on your rotates before you fight. I've said this so many times, but if you can get to zone before everyone else, the game will just be a lot easier for you. As you can see, notice myself right here versus everyone else. I am all the way in the corner of the map, and I've separated myself from everyone else while rotating. This means that even though there's only 2 other people alive, I can then look back at both of them. This also means that they have a blind spot because they have to focus on each other while rotating, and I've now gotten position behind them. Even though this guy has the minigun, he's clueless because he's spraying at the back player and he's in the back of zone. That means that I can boo-bow him. Now he's cracked. Now he has a terrible disadvantage, and now he's running. Now right after that, the other player grapples on me and tries to get a jump on me, but I play it smart, and then I wide it and then place a cone, predicting that he will jump into it. He does, thankfully, and then I can get a crack on him, reset the wall so that he can't do any damage back, and I just kind of reset, see if I can get a shot off, and now I'm just playing super patient, waiting for another chance. And then I can keep pressuring this player. Again, I force him to the back of zone. Again, I don't jump in his box because the other person's third-partying me. I decide that rotating is more important than fighting because this guy's the minigun. This is my only threat right now, and since I prioritize the zone, as you can see, that player falls to zone. Now it's just a 1v1, and I need to be really, really smart here because this guy has the minigun, and everyone knows how broken the minigun is. If you just jump in a box right here, you lose. So you need to either create distance or you need to get some big opening damage to win the fight. Again, notice how I just prioritize my rotate first. I decide it's time to leave the fight and go to zone first and then fight later. I can just get in front of zone at that point, and then I can just hold him. This makes me have a huge advantage going into this fight because now I can just spray him out because he has to build. He can't just focus on shooting me. He has zone on his back, so he has to protect himself. But this leads to a fault in his plan. I can spray him out, chop him out, crack him. He's now super weak, and we're actually both out of mats at this point, I think. Now at this point, obviously we both have 0 mats, and I'm peeking this guy, but a lot of people don't know about peeker's advantage. Whoever peeks first wins, because in their game, it's actually registered that you're behind the wall when you're actually here. So like, let's say I'm positioned right here. For the other player's POV, I would be positioned a few frames back just the way the game is delayed. So that means that I can see him first, and then obviously, as you can see, I get the shot off first, so that allows me to then pick up the win. And that is going to do it for this video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure that you guys like and subscribe. And if you guys do want to see more content like this, go check out these 2 videos. And with that, I'll see y'all later. Peace.